The Realme number series has always been a huge success for the Realme squad for one very good reason. It has always offered insane value in the form of performance and features that are normally found in more expensive phones or the previous generation. But in doing this, Realme is also taking a risk because in order to keep at the pace, they're gonna have to keep coming up with new features, performance improvements, or drop the prices, which is not something that you may do all the time, especially in the case of the numbered I variant, which is already at very competitive prices. In the case of the Realme 8i, which came out last year, you had a very good high refresh rate display at 120Hz, a 50 megapixel camera, 18 watts charging, and a very good, very fast chipset in the form of the MediaTek Helio G96. So we were really impressed, and it's like, wow, this phone is so good. What would they think of next? So the phone is looking almost exactly like the Realme 8i with a few minor differences. You now get dual speakers, 33-watt charging, and it now runs on the Snapdragon 680 platform. In addition to this, the screen refresh rate is down to 90Hz from 120Hz. Now, before we go into detail, let's take a moment to appreciate this very nice new back design. We call it the stereo prism design. And this is one of the more interesting and more catchy looks that I've seen. In the case of black-colored phones, they're normally not as exciting. They tend to be dull and boring. Let's also appreciate the fact that they kept the layout of the components pretty much the same as with the previous generation. There's a power button with a built-in fingerprint scanner, which we love. The layout of the components at the bottom has remained the same. You still have the 3.5mm audio jack, the USB Type-C port, and bottom firing speakers. As we mentioned earlier, this phone comes with dual speakers, so there's another speaker at the top. And what's nice about this implementation is that the receiver or top speaker is quite substantial. It can get very loud, so somewhat it balances with the bottom firing speaker. It's still not as crisp, but if you try to listen, you'll be able to appreciate the quality of the dual stereo speakers. You also switch the camera layout a bit, so it now has a more elongated look. And it highlights the two camera sensors that you can actually take photos with, which is the 50 megapixel main sensor and the 2 megapixel macro lens. And we have to appreciate that because it shows that Realme is still trying and it's not getting stagnant with the design. Now, with that being said, let's talk about the display. On paper, well, 90Hz is definitely less than 120Hz. There's no arguing that. But in reality, the difference might not be as observable as, say, going from 60Hz to 90Hz, which begs the question if having a 120Hz display is actually more valuable or desirable as opposed to having, say, dual stereo speakers, because that seems to be the trade-off that we are making here. It's a tough call either way because there are a lot of pros with having dual stereo speakers, but I would personally lean towards having a much better higher refresh rate display simply because it's something that we look at all the time. Well, in the case of stereo speakers, you're not going to be playing audio all the time, and when you do, you also have the option of using wired headsets or Bluetooth headphones. Now, the other major change that we have going to the Realme 9i is the switch to the Snapdragon 680 platform. In terms of performance, Snapdragon 680 is a very good mid-range 4G chipset, and we've seen this in many other phones that we have reviewed on this channel, such as the Samsung Galaxy A23, the Redmi Note 11, and the Huawei Nova 9 SE. Now, keep in mind that these are mid-range phones, so the users or the target market for these phones might not be able to appreciate the additional performance that you get from a Helio G96 chipset. The thing about the Snapdragon 680 platform is that it is manufactured using the 6nm fabrication process, which means it has a much lower power draw as opposed to the Helio G96 platform, which is manufactured using the 12nm process. So if you think of it that way, for users who use phones mostly for browsing, social media, media consumption, and content creation or content consumption, the benefits that you get from having a longer battery life might outweigh any performance benefits that you get from having a much faster chipset with a much higher power draw. However, for gamers, definitely you're gonna want to go with Helio G96 because you're gonna want that additional performance to push your game, and you can just simply offset any difference in battery by carrying a power bank. We benchmarked the device using Antutu and we consistently got around 250K. It's definitely lower than what we get from a Helio G96 device, which would score around 340K easily. So if benchmark numbers are that important to you, then just go ahead and get the Realme 8i. It's still a solid device, and I'm sure Realme will be happy that you guys decided to go with a Realme phone as opposed to going to a competitor. Quick side note, we ran the benchmark on the 4GB variant running Android 11, so those numbers might go up once you get the production unit or the retail unit with 6 gigs of memory and once you're able to upgrade to Android 12. Camera configuration on the Realme 9i is pretty much the same as the Realme 8. So there's a 50 megapixel main sensor right here, a 2 megapixel macro camera, depth sensor, and a 16 megapixel selfie camera. One of the things that you can actually do with Snapdragon easily that you cannot do with the MediaTek platform is to install Gcam, and we went ahead and installed the first Gcam for Android 11 that we could get, which is from a modder named MGC, and it worked. We were able to take photos using the different lenses without crashing or without any problems. Generally speaking, photos taken with the stock camera are actually quite good. And I would argue that handheld shots using night mode looks so much better using the stock camera. But we're gonna go ahead and show you some sample photos. See for yourself if these are the type of photos that you want to be able to capture using a smartphone. Currently shooting using the 50 megapixel rear camera sensor. That's the main sensor for now. We are shooting using the front facing camera using the default settings at 10. As we mentioned earlier in the video, one of the benefits of having a smartphone running on a chipset that was manufactured using a much smaller fabrication process is the relatively lower power draw. In our internal tests, we average around 8 hours of screen on time. In addition to this, you also get that 33 watt fast charging, which is really nice. You're able to charge the phone from 0 all the way to 100% in just 1 hour and 10 minutes. So it's great, and not even flagship phones have power bricks or chargers nowadays. So hey, it's a plus for us. So taking all of this into consideration, the Realme 9i is a solid mid-ranger, although maybe not as impressive as the Realme 8i when it comes to gaming performance. For the non-tech market, which this phone is targeted at, you get much better battery life, decent performance, dual stereo speakers, and that may be enough to convince them to pay for the same price as the Realme 8i when it came out back in 2021. So this phone is going to retail for 11,990 pesos for the 6 gig and 128 gig variant. You also get the benefit of having better support that comes with purchasing a newer phone. Is this something that you agree with, or do you still think that the Realme 8i is a much better deal? Let us know in the comment section below. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell for more content like this. We really look forward to reading your comments and interacting with the community. And until next time, this has been Kuya Den, signing off. Paalam!